Hello and welcome to this week's episode of Eat, Crit and Survive, where plays a board game where some friends have gathered in different locations to play a board game digitally.
Ooh.
And yeah, this week we would be playing D&D, but right now we are playing a board game, and we're eating into Dom's timer that he has to make his turns. But that's fine because they've given us each an hour and a half, so we've got plenty of time with us. So normally we have Dom with us. It's an opportunity for you to say hello.
Oh, hello. Sorry, I was looking at my player board and trying to work out what things were.
Yeah, iconography. Yeah.
Iconography, yeah. But we also have Ross with us today.
Hey,
It's Ross. So yeah, we are playing. My headphones are really going buzzy on this. It's frustrating me. Might be the battery's dying. It's fine. I'll switch it off. So we are playing Scythe today. We are playing another Stonemaier game, the Stonemaier Classic, I think is probably the right way of putting it. It's one of their oldest games, certainly second oldest after Viticulture, I think. But it's one that Ross has really been wanting to play, and since we have a bunch of people away for D&D purposes today, we are playing a board game. So we let Ross pick.
you fools!
Yeah. Well, I mean, the one time I have played this with you, I did beat you.
It's true.
It was the only time I have played it, but that was...
Well, I didn't want your first experience to be a terrible one, so I let you win, obviously. So.
Of course. And the three other people that were playing that game also let me win?
Yes.
Okay.
I made a pact with them before the game started to make sure
Right.
it was early doors. I was really trying to secure you on the liking board games, etc.
The forever board game front. That's fair. You know, that's fair. This was this 5 years ago? Or was I in the flat by then, or was I still at my parents' house?
I think you might have still been at your parents' house.
So, which case that would have been at least 6 years ago, 7 years at that point, which is kind of cool. So it's been a while. So we are going to play a game that I don't think. Have you played it since then, Ross?
When was the last time I played this game? We played this. I'm sure we played this at a board game shop, actually, haven't we? I'm sure I played this with Dom before.
I've played this at War Games Workshop when that existed on Abington Square.
Yeah.
That was that time though, because I've only played it once that I can remember. Was it that time on Tabletop Day?
Maybe.
Good. So the last time we all played this that we can remember was 6 or 7 years ago.
A long time.
It's been a while.
At the moment, it's literally the deepest board game in my board game cupboard.
Yes, because it's been pushed back by everything else.
I mean, is that in terms of rules or in?
No, is in physically
The
it is the
box.
furthest from. Yes, the box is the furthest from the door of the cupboard.
Yeah, because
I
everything else.
was thinking also deep box.
It's not
It's also-
that deep in comparison to some of the ones that we've got now, I don't think. I know there's a lot of stuff in it. There's a lot of the mechs and such. But I don't think it's that deep comparatively. I don't know. I may be wrong on that one. But anyway, we are going to be playing Scythe today, and later on when we've wrapped up here, we will raid into the Tabletop Live Network event that is going on now. That is 61 hours of board game streams, back to back over the whole weekend, that is being done for TLN and raising money for charity. Why have I forgotten what the charity is? It's because it's not one that in the UK, that's why. It is being raised.
Extra Life.
Extra Life, thank you, Dom, for looking that up for me.
No, that was memory.
Oh, of course, because we did talk
my-
about it with Phantom People on.
My brain was working.
Yeah. My brain works significantly less when I'm doing streams and everything else and trying to balance so many different things. That's my excuse for why I lose on board game streams. I don't have an excuse for when I'm playing on BGA. I don't know what Ross's excuse is when we play in person though, so there's that. So we are playing Scythe today, and Ross is going to run us through the games because I like stitching it up that way.
No, it's fine. Yeah, I mean, like I say, I think it is fairly easy to explain, but I'm probably going to skip over some of the rules, but we'll get there anyway.
It's
okay.
also probably worth mentioning that we have never played. I don't think any of us have ever played on the app before.
Nope.
No, so there might be some fudging as we're going along to try to sort of suss where
Yes.
it is. Okay, so to play Scythe, the player with the most points, reputation, love almost, wins the game basically. And the game ends when someone has put out their 6th star, essentially. And stars are placed by kind of being good at something. So it might be that you've got 6 upgrades, you've got 4 of your mechs out, you've built 4 of your structures, you've completed one of your objectives, you've gained 18 popularity or 16 power. There's a whole bunch of options. And if you guys aren't aware, just in case, the star in the top left corner will reveal all of the stars that you can place, basically. So that hopefully does it. And obviously there's a good note there that putting 6 stars out doesn't guarantee you the victory, just ends the game, and then the points thus from that contribute.
Flashing
So
for the audience.
In fact, if you go to the next tab along, the scoring is a good way of indicating how much actually points you're going to get. So for, I would forget this right, for each, basically the for number of coins in hand, for your structure bonus, basically what you've revealed on your board, for the value of each star you've put down, depending where you've put it, the value of every hex you control, and the value of every 2 resources you have. So you score 1 point for every 2 resources, you score a point for controlling a hex, you score, well, the stars vary a little bit, but you pretty much score a point. And then, any other bonuses or anything else that you've managed to get out at the time. And your popularity, the hearts track, improve the points you get from those other things. So if you only have popularity of 0 to 6, you score 2 victory points for each hex you control. If you have popularity of 7 to 12, it's 3 points. If you have popularity of 13 to 18, it's 4, and so forth. So that works quite well with them. Then we all have secret objectives, which is the 4th tab along on the top bit. So that's the thing that personally we have a goal to complete, and obviously you gain a star if you do that thing. Obviously there's no, also just mention, there's no, if someone gets a thing, it stops anyone else doing it. Other people can still do that thing, basically. So by me completing my objective doesn't block, and putting a star down doesn't block Dom or Luke from doing that, basically. Then I'm trying to think what else is good. Mechs, we'll get to those in a minute, but they kind of, if you go on the 5th tab along, 6th
The one
tab
next to the red star.
Yes.
The one that looks like a mech.
Yes.
Yeah, fine.
Basically, when we build our mechs, it kind of gives an indication on the abilities that we have, and our mechs have different abilities, so that's just worth noting. There is also a faction ability, which is your faction icon, which is across the top, where we have very specific faction abilities for us. So, for example, mine is there's no limit to the number of stars from completing objectives and winning combat. So I could do both of my objectives, and I could keep winning combat to put all my stars out, basically. Whereas normally you don't have to put 1 star per thing. Luke, what's yours?
Mine is that I'm relentless. I may choose to stay on the same section of my play map as on the previous turn. So normally, as part of the action selection of this game, you would have a little icon that you would use, or a little marker that you would use to move around between one of the 4 actions. And you would take either the top action or the bottom action, or both if you have the resources and the cost to do so, or none. But you have to move between actions. You have to move on to the next one. I can stay where I am on my action, which is could become useful situationally.
Very powerful ability.
Yes.
Yeah.
Dom?
Mine, I can meander and pick up to 2 options per encounter card. So I want to make friends and meet people.
Nice, cool. So, in fact, we can dig into a few of these mechanics as we kind of alluded to. So, basically, the big core of this game is you, as Luke says, you pick one of the 4 action paths, I'll call them, and then you can do the top and bottom. You can do neither, or you can do either of those abilities. And anything with a red background on it is a cost to do that thing, and then anything with a green is a benefit from doing that thing. And then you'll see most of the time it indicates kind of an either or option. It's not very clear. But on that, and again, it's worth noting that all of us have been dealt different um, action cards, I guess, basically. So the things that I have might cost more or less than the things that Luke or Dom have. For example.
Yeah, there's very subtle differences between each one, and sort of a little asynchronicity for all players. I think all the bottom actions cost the same, but the top actions do vary, and they vary in the combinations of which they're in. So my coin gain action, for example, or my movement action is above my enlist recruit action, and it may not be for Ross and Dom. It may be elsewhere for them.
Yeah. Also, there's variations in the gold you receive as well for doing the bottom action. That's quite a big difference on those boards. So essentially what we're doing is we're taking those actions, we're doing whatever it says, which we'll get into in a second, and then we're trying to score stars, really, is the ultimate way of doing this, or conquer more, or control more hexes. So just as a sort of an aside of that, to control a hex means you have to have your main character, a mech, a building, or a worker on that hex. If you've got any of those things, you're deemed as controlling it, and you control any resources on that hex as well. And if you have workers, you can work that hex to gain some resources or have resources placed on that. So resources never come to you as a player, they always go onto the board on the hex that they were generated on. I had something else I was going to follow that with, and I cannot remember what it was. So that's kind of gone. Oh, you're muted, Luke. I can't hear you.
Why did that happen? I thought I'd turn it back on. No, never mind. Yes, the resources can be used for other actions. They're available to you whilst they're on the board. Effectively, you don't have to reclaim them back to yourself. You don't have to send them back to your home base.
Yes, which is important potentially strategically as well, because it means that you can conquer someone else's space and steal all their resources, basically. Oh, this was the follow-up point I was going to do. If someone has a building on their space and then they put a any other unit essentially on there, that's deemed as owning that space over the top of just a building. Essentially, the building's just been left abandoned. So if we look at the main board, talking about hexes, we see that pretty much every hex has an icon. I think, in fact, every hex has an icon in the top section of it, and that's the resource that hex generates. So we have, for example, oil, steel, wood, more workers, or food. There are also hexes which have like a lake on them, which means you need to have the particular ability from your mechs in order to move into that space with your mechs.
You can also not cross water, I believe, at all.
Correct. At the beginning of the game, this is correct, yes. Everyone has, if you go back to your faction, you'll see that at the bottom there's like a river walk ability, and it tells you which areas you can move in and out of. So you can only move in or out of particular hexes, basically, at the beginning of the game, if I remember that right, because it just limits the potential for where you could be moving. In fact, it also tells you, in fact, near your player base. So, for example, I can move in and out of wood and steel. For Dom, it's people and steel. For Luke, it is food and people.
It's interesting, if you push the button, it can also show you which people can cross over into those squares coming out.
Yes.
Interesting, though, it's only going in, so at the moment we can't go out of our areas.
Yes, I believe. Yes, because you need to unlock the mech, which has the river walk ability on it.
Correct.
You will also notice that there's a purple tile in the middle. That's the factory. So this is a factory that was been long abandoned, which has amazing futuristic stupid tech in it, basically. If you control that space, it's worth 3 instead of 2, I think it is, points at the end of the game. And also you gain access to some essentially additional action space at the bottom. So rather than 4 actions, you'll have a 5th available action, and you can choose from a selection of them, basically. You get draw 2 and you pick 1, I think it is, or something along those lines. And at the bottom of spaces, you have one of 2 things occasionally, which is a tunnel-like icon, kind of purple. Essentially, all spaces with those icons on it are considered adjacent. Essentially, you can move between them. So that's quite an easy way of moving around the map. And also some of them have this sort of like compass-like icon, and if you move your main character piece into that space, you have an encounter and essentially draw a card, and it gives you some options, and you gain some benefits or you pay some costs or something along those lines in order to do a thing. And it has really cool artwork on those cards. So that's kind of the board. The movement, most things can move on their own, but there's an important key thing to note about the mechs is the mechs can move your resources and they can also move your workers. So it's a really efficient way of moving a large quantity of resources or people around the map. Also helps because mechs, for example, are the only things that can travel across the water, so then it unlocks your people basically and gets them out from your home base essentially. But you can't use your main character in order to do that. So there's a certain limitations on how you move around. I won't stress about it too much, but basically that's sort of it. Workers can move normally, but mechs are quite powerful in that regard because they can move lots of stuff around at once.
So how does the main character cross water, or are they just able to do that passively anyway?
They gain your mech abilities as well, I believe.
Copy.
I'm not 100% on that. I'm pretty certain on that though.
Yeah.
We'll suss it out. So that's kind of the big chunk of the game. Now, this is next bit I'm going to explain is much clearer on the actual board game. Personally, I think because you can see the buildings moving around, but we should be able to cover it off still. But essentially, there's grayed out slots at the bottom of, on the area near the bottom where you have your action spaces. And you'll notice that a lot of them have like a kind of glowing icon next to it. And essentially, you need to do something in order to unlock that space or make it available.
So I'm just going to interrupt you for 1 second, Ross, saying thank you for the follow, Adam Padlin there. That's all. Thanks, Adam, for the follow.
Hopefully,
the alert I just caught the alert and was just like, ooh.
No, cool, good. And basically, it should be, I say, fairly obvious as to what those options do. But the oil stuff typically relates to upgrades, which means that you can remove. This is where it gets a bit funny. Remove cubes from your top space. So basically, anywhere where you have the 2 cog icons, that essentially lets you improve that. So you can you can cover up red spaces on the bottom half and make bottom items cheaper, or you can scrap that. You take a cube from the top half to make it more efficient to pick the top section, and you can place it on the bottom half to then make it cheaper to do the second part of the action. So, for example, you could take the bolster power, which might not apply for both of you, but for me, that's third space on that side is currently locked. I can move that from the top space and move it to the bottom to make it cheaper to upgrade in the future and make it cost 2 oil instead of 3 oil.
Nice.
Got it. Makes sense.
Then you have so that's the upgrade. So I'm going to talk about the bottom actions mostly because that's kind of the main function. The top action usually gets you stuff, but the bottom action, so I'll cover those off first. So you've got the upgrade action, which is the 2 cogs. You've got the mech icon, you should see, which basically lets you deploy a mech somewhere. You can deploy a mech anywhere which you control. I think I've probably caveat that. Anywhere you control with a which isn't just a building, I think is the important bit to note there.
Yes.
You can do the build action, which lets you put a building out, which is again, you can kind of see on the top side they're grade sections. For example, there is a heart, a windmill, a mine, and a armory, which you might be able to see on that top side. Can you see those things with the houses and then the icons above them? Cool. So basically, you can build those buildings. That means when you pick that top action, you get that bonus at the same time. So obviously, it's quite good. And for example, when you do with the windmill, for example, when you produce on a space, you produce on your windmill all the time as well. So that's quite powerful without needing any workers there. It counts as a worker essentially. Cool. Then final space is you got enlist, which essentially improves the bottom half of the abilities, so you can recruit kind of and make the bottom half more powerful essentially. So you've got one which makes you basically stuff you're doing on that bottom section either improves the efficiency of everything else you're doing in the game, essentially.
Mm-hmm.
Then the top half factions, really simply, you've got some variation of gaining power, which helps you in combat and contributes towards the 16, I think, power is that you need in order to get the star. Or gain combat cards, which again are kind of a surprise element, I guess, of the battles that might happen. You can produce resources on the tiles that you control. You can move or gain money. You can trade resources, essentially, buy resources, essentially, or you can buy popularity, basically, is the other option on there. So hopefully that all makes sense.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Good.
The one thing I don't remember, or I'm not 100% clear on, when you spend a resource, that's just from any hex you control.
Correct.
That's what I thought.
Then I think the last thing to talk about is combat. So which isn't that common in this game, but it does happen occasionally, if we end up in a space where you have two mechs or a normal person, your main character and a mech or something like that in the same space, if there's any workers in that space, they have to retreat before any combat happens, I believe. And then you can spend... I'm trying to get this right. You can spend power equal to the number of units on that space. No, that's not right. You can spend as much power as you like.
Up to 7.
Up to 7, but you can also play combat cards for as many units as you have in that space at the battle at the time.
Mm-hmm.
So if you have 2 mechs in there, you can play 2 combat cards. The combat cards have values between, 1 and 5. I've kind of made that up a little bit, but something along those lines.
I mean, you're not wrong. I think it's 2 and 5.
2 and 5, okay. And yeah, that's kind of it, really. That's the important key, I think.
Good. It looks like you're up first, Ross. Saxony is your turn. So I guess if we have any questions that'll kind of come up, I mean, this is the benefit of playing this on the app rather than Tabletopia, which we would normally do. Just happens that all of us have this, so we could do it.
Yes.
I think we got it in a Humble Bundle at some point in the last 2 years.
Yeah, I think that's why I got it as well.
It won't let us cheat, which is
Yes,
the big benefit of accidental cheating. All right, so Ross, you are up first. What are you doing with
I'm
yourself?
just trying to figure out how to do an action.
So you can click on each of the action spots I found whilst you were explaining, and it will pop up and show you exactly what the action does.
Yeah, I want to try to do the move action, so click that. Do I then just...
Click on your... I assume you can just click on your units and it tells you where they can go.
It does, but then I can't move them. This is where playing the tutorial... I got through 2 tutorials.
Oh, I did not play the tutorial. I just jumped straight in. Oh, we should probably also say the people who support this show are Game Team, who purveys of wonderful gaming gear and goods. You can go and check those out. You can enter our code Eat Crit Survive to get yourself 5% off from Game Team. We'll drop that in chat because I am a professional at this.
Yep. Yes. And Game Team are in no way responsible for our incompetence.
Yes. Yeah. This is set in a alternative past, sort of post World War One. So if it all goes horribly wrong, it's not our fault. Ooh.
I figured out.
Yeah.
It just had a thing about sending you guys coins. I don't know why I would have done that, but I had the option. I just had to dismiss it. Then it let me do the action.
It's because you can give bribes.
Gotcha.
As part of the game. You can bribe people so that they don't do certain actions. Paulina, I believe that is you, Dom.
Yeah, okay. I'm kind of wondering why Ross started off by moving.
I don't mind explaining. I did a move because I want to get more workers out, so I moved 1 worker into my worker space so then I can produce next turn and getting the extra worker.
Mm-hmm.
And I also moved my main character slightly closer to the explore icon, so I could do an encounter.
Yes, because the village lets you get a worker, doesn't it?
Yes.
Yes.
Yeah, I was confusing that with the enlist thing.
Oh.
Okay.
And this thing makes the bottom half actions more powerful
Mm-hmm.
by doing an extra bit.
Okay. I don't want to end my turn. Why are you suggesting I do that? I've not done anything yet.
So enlist it costs for me at least 3 wood, I think. That's the icon that's there for.
You need to click the icon that you action you want to do. But you might also need to, where it's got like sliding coin value, you might well just dismiss that because it hides the confirm action button.
It was food. I was wrong.
Yeah, coins basically pay for top row actions, more or less.
Okay. Well, I'm gonna assume Ross knows what he's
I
doing.
mean, I haven't played this game in a very long time, but sure.
Thank you, Adam. Adam is saying, not sure if there's anything can be done in the stream. Dom is much quieter than the rest. Are you able to pull?
Okay, I shall speak up.
Are you able to adjust your mic input into Zoom after you've taken your turn?
I can certainly try.
I'll see if I can lift up the audio on my end. But thank you for that, Adam. I am maxed out, so... Yes, you do you. We'll worry about you afterwards. But thank you for that, Adam. Welcome along. Thank you for coming along and joining us.
The chaos that is. Oh, it does zoom in when you do actions. Nice.
That's pretty nice.
Okay.
Not a big deal. Just wanted to bring it up. We appreciate it.
So I guess I end my turn.
It also makes very ominous noises when.
Oh, I have the audio turned off just because of stream and everything else.
Is it you just moved it like dom, dom.
Nice.
Also, I turned the painted minis on, which is funny because.
Did you? How did you turn that on?
It's at the main menu because Dom's characters have little funny moustaches. I don't know if you can do it now.
No, I don't think you can. That's a shame.
Never mind.
Now, well, hey ho. Is what it is. Resume.
I just spent. It was the extra 3 minutes I spent nosing around the
Yeah.
main menus.
It
Alright.
looks like my mic input level is at the maximum, so I guess I'll just have to speak up.
Is your mic input effectively your webcam? Just out of interest, because I think Ross and I have both got. I mean, I've got my microphone literally 7 inches from my face.
I mean,
Yours is also your webcam, yeah.
It's literally right here.
Yeah, my webcam is a bit further away.
Okay, that might be it. That's okay. Apologies for anyone who gets motion sickness. I think I am just going to produce. Because I already have some.
I'll pull it over.
Because I've already got a worker on the village, and I've got one on steel. So I think it is actually kind of in my interest to just get stuff. Because if you move your main character up, and you do the produce action, they don't impact it. Is that right?
Sorry, was that sorry?
If you were to move your main character onto space and you do the produce action, they don't produce something. Correct? Yeah. So I may as well just do this, get myself a steel and an extra worker, and then end my turn. Because it doesn't matter, because I can just keep doing that.
Yeah, you've got your
Because of my faction ability.
yeah, your people in the right spot at the beginning to get your workers, which is quite nice.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Smooth.
Is my voice sounding any different now?
It does sound different, yes.
It does sound different, yes.
Better or worse?
Slightly more echoey for some reason.
Okay. Well, We'll
Well,
try this and
it is what
see
it is.
see
We're
what
all good.
feedback we get.
Oh, much better, says Adam. And Budman.
Oh, okay.
Thanks, Adam.
Cool. Now I have to remember what I was doing. Oh yeah, I wanted to make stuff, didn't I?
Yes, so I think we're all taking the produce action this turn. We have to be careful because, of course, as we produce more, we unlock more costs that we have to pay when we produce,
Yes.
which could become a limiting factor at some point.
So if we produce one more person, I think it's the same for all of us. It costs one more power to then produce going
Yes. Alright, it is.
Yeah, I can't do the bottom bit, so end turn.
My power
Right.
currently is only one. So.
I have 3 power.
Oh, I can
because-
expand the view. Nice.
Alright, I am going to move, I think. I'm going to move this guy. Actually, no, I'm going to move my main character to here. And I think that's it. I think I'm just going to move one character.
Cool.
There is method in my madness.
Move it twice, if just so you know.
No, you can only move the figure once. You can only move each individual figure once. It's
there's another ability, isn't there? That lets you
yes, there's an ability that lets you do 2 moves. I think it's one of the factory abilities. You can do
Yes.
lets you do 2 movements.
I think almost every.
Every factory ability lets you do that.
Yes. Encounter coming.
Don't you have an encounter?
And everyone see this as well.
Yes, it has
Yeah.
popped up on screen. So what the artwork of this is that this is the scenario effectively that Ross's character has encountered, and he has these 3 options to choose how to go. Much like in a choose your own adventure game, or a game like The Adventures of Robin Hood, which gives you the story, it gives you the options of what you want to do and what benefit you would like to do. So Ross has the option here of conceiving a plan with the patrolling troops of the forest, relieve the soldiers of some dead weight, or deceive the soldiers and steal their mech.
I don't have the 3 popularity.
No, none of us. I don't think
As I
any of us do. Otherwise, that would be funny.
I do want to get the mech out. So what I'm probably going to do is just pay the $2 to maybe gain 3 resources so I can just build the mech anyway.
Yeah, good idea.
Just a quirky way of doing it, so I'm going to do that. I'm going to gain 1. Ooh, do I just build all 3, or do I get something else off this? I think I do. I think I just get all 3. And then I'll end my turn. I feel a bit silly about moving my worker over to the steel thing now.
I'm sure there was a point.
Okay. Let's move some bodies around. Let's send the workers to work in the fields of the farm, and send my character to have an encounter as well.
Okay.
Copycat.
Oh, those
okay.
mechs are attacking those bothersome cows again.
Yeah, we're having a crossover with Great Western Trail.
Yeah.
So, do I want to distract the rogue mech with my yodeling skills to save the cow?
Nice.
Seize control of the mech and scuttle into the forest? Or steer the cow under the mech to see what happens?
So you have the lawful good option, you have the chaotic neutral action, then you just have the chaotic evil action.
Yeah, I do actually have 4 coins,
You have the money to buy it.
so deploying a mech seems like a good plan, I'm guessing.
In one moment, I have an ant that has, for some reason, scuttled into my office. Gonna make it go outside.
Okay,
Bye, ant.
for my mech ability, I want to be able to river walk and possibly even river dance.
I'm just going to be back in 1 moment.
No problem.
Oh, place my mech. It seems somebody wants to let me just right in this space. Okay. No. Go away.
Nice.
Oh, I can. Yeah, I can choose two things.
You choose
I
two
forgot.
things.
I forgot. Yeah, I forgot that was my ability, Meander.
Oh! Oh no. Oh no.
So I could steal the neck and then run over a cow with it.
Or
But
you
no,
could...
I'm going to.
Do you know what, thematically, you could you're distracting the rogue with your yodeling skills.
Yeah.
Long enough to get to serenade
Seize the control of the neck and discuss into the forest. Yodeling.
whilst
The
yodeling.
others after me. Yeah.
Instead of going, yeah. Except it wouldn't be it would be.
Ah, well, there we go.
Well, that's unfortunate and very powerful. Alright, me.
Where are my scuttling yodeling skills?
I know, right? So I am going to produce again. And the reason why I'm choosing to produce is because it actually gets me 2 steel. Oh, so it gets me 1 more steel, but it also gives me 2 additional workers because I had 2 workers left on there. So I now have 5 workers out on the board.
Wow, army of workers.
Yeah.
It's
Ross, you are up.
It's going to get very pricey for you, though, isn't it?
Well, no, because I have an odd number of workers. So the production is just
1 more power.
It's just 1 power, yeah, and I have 3 currently.
Right, so I'm going to take the reduce action. Do I have to confirm both? Do I confirm one, then confirm the other? I will produce here and here, and then I can do the bottom half of the action.
Which is unleash chaos. And, mechs.
I have to control the tunnel as well. I think I do.
We remembered whilst Dom was taking his turn, Ross, that for every counter that Dom comes across, he gets to do both actions. He gets to do 2 of the 3 actions.
Nice.
Which is pretty sweet.
Oh yeah, I remember. That's why I like that action. Because basically you can get one thing to pay for the other thing.
Yeah.
Or in my case, steal a mech and then make myself more popular by distracting the other rogue ones by yodeling at them.
Yeah.
What is this madness?
That's Scythe, yo.
Yeah, okay. What do I want to do this turn? Doing a bit more production might not be a bad idea. Ooh, I could do that.
I filmed my second top of the box, my sort of top 10 this week. It's my top 10 games that I would like to play, or games I want to play. I had a panic when I first listened to it back to check that the audio was okay, because the audio sounded a little bit funny. I thought, oh god, am I going to have to do this again? No, I didn't have time to do it on Wednesday and Thursday. I played one of the games that's on the list, and I came back to listen to it. I thought, well, I'll see if I can salvage anything from it, and it turned out it was just a loose connection on my headphones. I was like, oh, thank God. So the audio was absolutely fine. That's made my life so much easier. If you want to check out some of that content, it's up on YouTube. Okay. So I am taking the trade action.
That timer in the top right is making me nervous.
Yeah, I know, right? Everything's going to explode. Yeah, because you've only got an hour left.
Yeah.
All right.
It's like playing Steve's chess now.
All right. So now. 1, 2, 3. I have unlocked my mech for Riverwalk. So I used the trade action to get myself 2 extra steel, and then I created a mech, or released a mech.
Nice.
Along with the hound. So I can now move between farms, and I can just move out of farms effectively. Nice.
So I believe. Ooh, I could. Cool. It's funny because you load them all up.
Mm-hmm.
In my turn.
Very nice.
Oh, my turn. No. I'm not too keen on you sneaking over this way.
Well, unfortunately, I don't have much choice. That's the only exit path from my island.
Yeah. I still haven't figured out what mine is, so.
I think yours is the food to the right of where I am now.
I think I can go to. Hang on. I think I've just found the thing. I think I can go to people or metal. We'll see. I'm not moving this.
Yeah,
Am I?
I can go to farms and villages, which is nice.
Yeah, okay. Actually, going to metal might be a good idea. Then I have to get maybe get some more mechs going. Okay, let's give that a try. Right. So. I'll move a person onto a mech. How do I do that? You got some people onto your mech a moment ago, Ross. How did you do that?
Sorry, how did I do what?
Loading
How did
your workers onto your mechs.
You know the slot where you confirm. Basically, after you've done the move action. Where the slot is where you confirm the action that you're picking, there will be a list of workers and resources, and you can move them left or right, and then confirm.
Yeah. Okay. So
I was looking at the stream to try see if you were activating or doing what I was telling you. Then remember there was Luke's stream, not your stream.
Yes, you could only see what I was doing.
Why can't I go there?
Good question. So what are your Riverwalk's abilities? You can move into woods and steel.
I think it's villages and mountains. At least that's what it looks like it should be.
Yes, villages and mountains. You're right. Yes.
I don't just go to move my mech into the mountains. Oh, hang on. That's fine. No, it's fine.
It's between those things, I think, isn't it? Oh no, yes, you should be able to do it. Yeah.
Yeah.
There we go.
Okay.
Did you mean to take villagers with you?
I did.
Can you undo?
Um,
There's an undo button in the top right, next to the menu
oh,
icon.
which I can't click.
Really?
Not at the present.
Maybe you have to complete your entire turn and then it will let you undo. For some reason.
No.
Hmm.
Okay. Weird. I didn't
Yeah,
seem to give me the option to move people. Maybe I've done something wrong. But no matter.
Good.
Alright, I'm going to try move. Do the move action. So I'm going to select my thing. So what it's got for me is... Can I put those into the mech? Ah, okay. So when I click onto the mech, it also has the transport option at the bottom middle.
Yes.
Or bottom,
Yes.
Yeah, bottom middle.
Ah, right. So I must
Do
have
use those
missed that.
sliders. That's what I was saying. Yeah, sorry. I don't know if that was obviously wasn't clear enough.
So I'm going to add... I'm going to transport 3 of my people, I think. And I'm just going to take my mech here. There's tundra space. It's actually fun. And then I'm going to go up into the farm and have an encounter. Ooh. So I can offer some advice to fix a broken pulley in a defunct mine to gain 2 money and 1 popularity. Haggle for some cheap ore to gain 4 metal, which might be good because then I can unlock another mech next turn.
Last one though.
Sorry?
That last option.
That last option, which is pay 2 popularity to build a structure. I kind of want to do that. I have the popularity to sack off, so I might as well. So, what do my structures do? Remind me.
Are they in? So basically, one of them gives you a heart when you take the action. One of them gives you
Oh, I see, yes.
the power when you take the action. One of them you build a mine, so basically you can move between that space and all the other mines on the map.
Uh-huh.
And the last one is a windmill, which is basically like a permanent worker on a space.
So when I take the produce action, it generates stuff for me.
Correct. And also means you don't have to have a worker there. You could just have your windmill and it'd be producing for you.
Okay.
As long as you do control that space, obviously.
The temptation to build a mine in my capital area so I don't have to use the
Yes.
mechs.
I think the mine is only available to you. I'm pretty confident as well.
Yeah, well, especially if I'm building it in my area.
Yes.
That's tempting. What do we think, chat? What do we think? I'm torn between mine and windmill because I could put the windmill where my thing is, and no, optimistic else. Who is Ross? I am not going to forfeit
Why not?
because I could be winning. I've no idea if I am. It's really hard to tell in this game who is winning.
Right now,
No
no
one
one
is.
has stars, so no one's winning.
Yeah.
No one has an
I think
territory. Actually, I think you are technically winning because you are in control of the most territory. I think.
that's true. I have 4 territories. I think. I think the mine. Actually, oh, hang on a minute. Oh, it looks like I can only build the structure on the spot that I'm on.
That would make sense because I could only deploy the mech from my encounters.
Oh, in which case, that makes it far less powerful to build a mine there because it's on a river spot that I have to take workers across to anyway. So I will just put I'll just put the windmill out there to create me a farm. So I can always gain some stuff. Nice. Now I know this game can play up to 7 with the sort of expansions. I can't imagine ever wanting to play this with 7 players.
Why is that?
Because I think it would take a very long time to play this with 7.
So there's a good trick when you're playing the board game of this, which when you're taking the second action at the bottom half,
The next player
actually
can...
the next player can start taking their turn because it doesn't impact anything that they're doing necessarily. So actually, you can get a really good flow of turns going.
Yeah.
Have you confirmed your turn, by the way?
Oh, sorry. Yes, I do need to hit the end turn button. That's the thing I forgot about.
Also would help if people entered their turns.
Yeah, it really would, wouldn't it? If they didn't spend their time in chat just heckling people.
Yeah, also that. Okay. Right. What's a good shout for me here? Well, I think it might be to do this, Can't do it on half, so I'm going to end my turn. I don't think it'll be, I'll be in 2 seconds.
Oh,
Okay, round 2.
yes.
That's okay. I know what I want to do.
What are you planning to do?
I want to produce.
Okay.
So, let's see. More wood, and I have a couple more people.
Mm-hmm.
Can't do the
Nice.
bottom bit from that thing, so there we go. Job's done.
All right, over to me. So I am also going to produce. So I get a food, a village, which is not too bad. Oh, hang on a minute. Why has that done that? Produce 3 oil. And did not produce me a steel. Why did that happen? Can I undo? Can I go back? No, I can't. Not enough resources. That's confusing. Alright, well, I've now produced a bunch of oil. So I'm going to use the oil to decrease the cost of building a mech. Can I? Why can't I do that? What's going on? I'm not going to actually benefit from the top row action with... Oh, I see. So I need to unlock the top row action first. Wait, what? Why is this not working? Oh, I need to click on the oil first, that's why. Oh, I see, it's doing the steps for me. Okay, right, I understand. I am going to unlock an extra move. Am I? I've clicked it now, so I have to commit. To make building my mechs cheaper. So for Ross's benefit, I produced, and then I got a load of oil, and I did the bottom action, which let me reduce the cost it would be to did the upgrade. So I got to reduce the cost to make mechs.
Nice.
And I also accidentally increased my cost for production. So I clicked the wrong one. So I now have to pay a power and a popularity. And Ross is building a mech.
I am building that mech. I'm trying to make quick, decisive turns and see if I can whittle this timer down. It's more of a just like a moral victory for me than anything else.
Yeah, I couldn't turn the timer option off, so I just turned it to maximum.
Okay, round 2 of trying to pick up and move everyone. Is this what it's? Oh, it's going to be.
Yeah. No.
Of course, you can't move the mech this turn.
No. I was just debating whether to go for another encounter or move towards the factory. Let's move towards the factory.
Just for everyone at home who doesn't have the painted minis on right now.
Focus. Kind of see it. Your phone is not focusing because of the your background.
Oh, it's blurred. Right, I'm with you.
What should I build? Not power.
There you go.
From there.
Oh, very nice. Oh, you've got the nice.
And yours looks like little, I don't know, lumberjacks. There you go.
Nice. Lumberjacks are just Russian soldiers.
They're probably just Russian soldiers. I mean, mine look like they're all yodelers. Talking about yodel. That is all.
Okay.
Right. Let's build something.
Hmm.
Right, select that. Right. So, do I want to do that? Maybe not. Do that? Not. Eh. Let's build a mill. Seems it's as good a thing as any. There we go.
Okay. Going to move you to here and you to here. Yes, confirm move. So you're going to go here and you are also going to go here. I'll end my turn. Okay, nice quick turn, hopefully.
Oh.
Oh, interesting. You got a double move, Ross.
Yes, I got a second mech out, which gives me an extra move.
Ah, of course.
Speed. Okay, so I'm going to spend some money this turn. Don't know if you want to.
Oh, I can make that a more efficient turn. Never mind.
Well, you're fine.
Um,
Don't forget when you enlist a recruit, you get a one-time bonus as well.
Yes.
Just as a reminder.
I don't think anyone is in a position to enlist at the moment.
I mean, definitely not me. It cost me 4 food, so.
It cost me 3, but I've only just got into a position where I can produce 1.
Right.
Alrighty. I am going to gain a popularity. That is it. Bit of a sad turn for me.
That's a quick turn, yeah.
But you're popular.
I'm more popular than I
something.
was. I'm about to be less popular than I am currently. Because I made a misclick and I ended up producing an extra worker, I now have to pay power and popularity in order to produce. But I do have extra production, so I can produce 3 things, so I might be okay.
Yeah. Right. Moving people. Take 2. So, confirm that I'm moving. Select map. Aha. Hey, all aboard the mech. Hooray! And enter the factory. Ooh, achievement unlocked. Speed demon. Right. Choose a car.
Apologies, I have someone encroaching into the room. Now, she's not here apparently.
I'm invisible.
Oh, okay.
She's invisible, but she's
Right.
not silent, which is,
2 very different things.
yeah.
Pay 2 coins to gain
Look.
a.
I'm just
So-
going to mute myself for a
Shield?
second so that Laura can
Sure.
go into some drawers.
What's a shield?
No one giggle at that.
So, sorry, what you say, Dom?
Oh, okay. I'm looking at my factory cards. Pay 2 coins, gain a shield and a power. I think a shield
It's a
might be a
shield.
recruit.
It is a recruit, yes. It's like a banner.
Yeah. Okay. Pay 2 coins to gain a mech and a power. Not bad. Pay a power to gain 3 coins. Or pay a coin into combat cards to gain 2 hammers. What's the hammers do?
A hammer.
I mean, it's associated with production. Oh.
Yes, production is a hammer.
Yeah, so gain 2 productions.
I mean, you're technically. I mean, obviously these are cards are secret to you. It doesn't make. We're not playing too competitively.
No.
Just be aware. We get whatever you pick. There's 1 less for Luke and I to select from if we get.
Yeah, I mean, to be honest, because we're going to see all of the cards that are available when we get to the factory, I'm going to get there last by the look of things. It kind of doesn't matter if we say what they are.
Oh, okay.
Yes.
What the heck did
You
just
just
happen?
I think you
Selected a
selected
card?
it.
Oh, and that's now an extra action I've got next
Yes.
to my player
Yes.
board.
It creates a
Got
5th
it.
action for you. Okay, so I am going to produce, confirm, so I can create 3 oil, 3 steel, and 1 food, which is nice, and then I can upgrade, so I'm going to convert my 3 oil to take, I'm going to upgrade my enlist action, gain 2 coins for it, and gain a popularity, well, basically increase my popularity gain. Sorry, I just turned to look at the screen and just saw Ross scratching his nose on my just a delayed nose scratch. Now this is interesting. Now that you have collided, is this a combat situation?
It is.
Yeah.
Combat has been initiated. And I'm going on mute for a second while Laura comes back into the room.
I should
What
technically
happens?
be. So
if I-
just so you're aware, Dom, I should technically be guaranteed the win here. Because I can see that we both only have 1 power to put into this.
Yeah.
So we both put 1 power in, but I have 2 units attacking, which means I can select 2 cards. Which means even if you had the 5 power card, I would still win. In fact, I've overkilled it. I should have calculated even better and put less resource in and just made sure I just beat you by 1, basically. But I'm just telling you that no matter what you do here, you lose. So you might as well save as many resources as you can and just retreat.
I was just going to ask what happens if I lose.
Your piece goes back to your starting position in your base.
Oh, that's a bit of a bugger. I'm done with the facts. So I got there. I got all the good cards.
Right, now I get to look at all these things. I mean, I'm just smashing out mechs anyway, don't really care about the mech one. I would say you picked the best one, Dom.
Yeah, I think so.
Okay, I'm not sure about this decision, but I'm just going to do it.
Adam Butler, yes, this is the Scythe app available on Steam.
So I have also completed my objective, which is to gain a factory card and have no upgrades.
Very nice.
Ah, this was a cunning plan.
Which
That's
gets you
why
your first star, does it not?
It does get me my first star, which in fact then I have a second star because I won the fight as well. So
Yeah.
that gives me 2 stars.
Uh-oh.
So we're a third of the way to finishing the game, guys. Sort of. Anyway, so just as a heads up, those 2 things happened. I'm also going to build. What do I want to build? It would be good for the extra production. I kind of like the mine.
I'll be back in just a second. My hands are a little sticky from the donuts I just had.
Done. That was quite.
So,
So yeah, hopefully no hard feelings, Dom. I just needed to, complete my objective.
oh yeah, I wasn't planning on fighting over the factory. I was just going after the cards. It's just a pain. I had to. My guys had to go back to the start. How do I get rid of that? Ah, yes. There we go. I clicked a thing that made a thing pop up, and now I had to get rid of the drone.
2 times with the same move. It's the factory.
Let's try. Now let's try this fancy new action.
A fancy new action? Well, I would dream for one of those.
Oh, I like the upgrade sound effects.
Who are you upgrading?
Cool, okay, those are some very nice bonuses. Yes, I would like to accept. Oh, I get to pick one, not all of them. Darn it. Okay, I think I've probably better have my money back. Not having any money seems like it could be bad.
Okay.
And, what should I send to you?
Dun, 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 dun.
You? Oh. Ah, come on.
So, Ross, you said to me when we were wandering around one of our local game stores the other day that you were looking to play more of Scythe, so you could get the expansions.
Yes.
Have you considered
Done that.
the on Stonemeier's website? There is the option to purchase metal mech minis.
No, I mean, I genuinely need to actually play more physical board games in
Yes.
order to validate the purchasing of metal minis. But I mean, I just want the airships one because the airship minis just look cool as hell.
They do.
Yeah.
Or you could just get yourself a copy of Dastardly Dirigibles.
So, what's that?
Oh, it's an airship building game.
Oh, nice.
Very lightweight, but it can be entertaining.
Okay, so I am taking the enlist action, which will get me a permanent benefit whenever. So I can either do it when. Which bonus do I want? I feel like getting popularity is going to be key. So, activate an ongoing bonus for any bottom row action. You'll gain it whenever you or the player either side of you takes that action.
Yes.
So, I have done it on the build action. So, I think that's going to come up a fair bit, but it will gain me popularity.
That's the same thing I did.
I feel like I need to do something else. Oh, I see. It's the one-time bonus. I'm going to gain the popularity bonus. I get a coin to popularity because I think my strategy seems to be heavily weighted towards producing at the moment.
I like the getting to the faction and giving you the faction. It makes it a little bit easier to do your turns because you've got, you've sort of got an extra option to choose between, so there's less chance of being stuck having to do something you don't want to do.
Oh, splits my turn.
seems excessive, but why the heck not? There we go.
Okay. So I'm going to take the trade action. I will gain a wood and oil. Yeah, and then I can convert 3 steel and unleash another mech. And I think I will take I'll take speed as I spawn another mech here. So I now have the speedier mechs option.
Yes.
And in general, Ross, yes, I do agree with the statement that you need to play more physical board games. Which is what we're doing on Monday, which is nice.
Yes. We're going to Speedy Gonzalez.
Mm.
Did you just fly over a lake?
I ran around the lake.
Oh, right.
But it went direct, so you could humbly take orders from your superior officer. You could give a villager a ride home on your horse, or you could threaten an avalanche with your bazooka. Well, I know what Ross would do in real life. Bazooka, obviously. And he wouldn't threat. He would threaten whilst holding the trigger.
Ooh, this is a doozy.
Bazooka!
Bazooka.
Based on the fact that I gained the popularity back straight away from the perk.
Yeah, from the end thing.
But yeah, bazooka's always the answer.
That's old stuff. Deploy a map. There we go. I have unlocked the camaraderie upgrade,
Ooh,
so
nice.
I don't lose popularity if I force your workers to run away.
Very nice.
Yeah. Gotta say, now I've got the hang of this. I guess you'd call it an app. The computerized version. I'm liking it. It's really nice and smooth.
Yeah.
It's very smooth. Alright, I am producing. I'm going to also upgrade. So I'm going to spend 3 oil. I'll take 1 from my movement, and I'll reduce the cost that it is to upgrade as part of it. And then, has that completed? Yes, I can complete Hedge My Bets. Have at least 1 upgrade, 1 mech, 1 structure, 1 recruit, and 1 of each resource at the end of your turn.
Nice.
So my produce last turn was solely to get my, or the trade was solely to get me the resource that I needed, which was wood. But it also let me get a mech out, which is always handy.
I completed my second objective, which is control at least 3 tiles at the end of my turn.
Can you complete more than 1 objective?
You can if you're the faction I'm playing.
Ah.
And it's one of the weaker factions, so god damn it, I'm going to make use of the ability.
So how many stars are we on now? Ross has got 3, Dom has 0, I have 1. Or as I asked the question that I could find the answer to very easily.
Yes.
Right. So, how would I like to do with this?
I'm a bit confused why my windmill territory didn't produce me another oil, but I can't suss it out.
Is it because you can only produce a number of times equal to the number of hammers that you have?
I think that you pick the hammers. You pick the territory that you can produce on.
Yes.
Yeah, no, I was able to produce in the mountains and my farm and the windmill space where I didn't produce that.
Then I do not know.
Probably clicking the wrong button somewhere would be my guess, because that's
Possibly.
usually how things go. Right?
Oh, I know. It's because I used my factory action tile, and actually the bone windmill construction doesn't work with that.
Doesn't give you that. Gotcha. I feel like Ross is going to try and attack me in a minute.
Oh, is that land actually connected? It is, isn't it? Interesting. I mean, I could just, because my faction ability is also that I can gain multiple stars for combat. So I could just like try rush end this game and just try to close you guys out before you get going. But where's the fun in that?
Yeah.
There we go, I've done a bit of trading.
Nice. Okay, I'm going to do a move action. I think. Am I going to move? Yes, I will move.
Alright.
Oh, right, I need to confirm my movement, obviously. Boop.
I wondered if you would. This is where I turn off the stream, so I can't see what card you pay.
I have 1 more movement. Oh, I see. The movement can it can go that way, but just around. No, I'm going to go here and just make it problematic for you.
Or is it just increases the number of cards you potentially use?
Mm-hmm.
Which fight is this?
This is the one up top.
Okay.
So it's our characters, effectively. Aha!
Oh, I should have put just 1 more in. Oh no, Taz goes to the attack. I would have had to put a bit more on.
Nice. So I get a star for winning that combat. So yeah, you spent 2 power and played 2 cards, so I lost that one, but I did get a combat card out of it. And Puddin says, I'm not sure why, but I very much enjoy listening to folks play board games while I work, so thanks for helping me work. Not a problem whatsoever. If you enjoy hearing us speak whilst you're working, then by all means check out our YouTube page as well. We have all the board games uploaded there, or our streams loaded from there after we do them. We do keep them on Twitch as well, and we are going to be raiding into TLN later, Total Live Network, which is currently with Loserpalooza, who we very frequently raid into. Whether they'll still be going by the time we finished, who knows? But I'm very much the same, Adam. I tend to I like having things on in the background. Yes, it is also Eat Quit Survive on YouTube. In fact, I can put in YouTube in here. We'll send you the link.
You mean that was working? What madness is this?
I know, right? It's because I changed Nightbot before we had any chat to trigger the automatic put-outs of Nightbot.
Yeah.
So I got ahead of it. Prevented chaos.
Right. Did I have a plan here? Yes, I think I did.
Gosh, I hope not.
Honestly, we're really rushing towards the end of the game here, by the way. Because I won that second combat, so
Yeah.
I've got 6 stars. Just as a warning to everyone.
Yes. But on the plus side, it did empty out your hand of combat cards and power, which does mean you're potentially a little bit short shrift for a little while.
Right, let's go and have an encounter.
Yes. With your bear sidekick.
Right, some escaping pigs. Do I want to repair a broken fence to secure the pigs for some food and popularity?
I like
Disassemble a mech. Oh, go on.
I was going to say, I like how the mech has been just parked on a hill, and
I
whilst
think
the
it's
pigs
broken down.
They could have done, but whilst the pigs are just casually escaping, you're just approaching with your tiger.
Yes, that's bound to calm things down.
Yeah, that's how things work.
Yeah. I could assemble the mech for spare parts to get some resources. Or I could startle the pigs to cause a stampede to gain a work and some metal.
Surely it's
Not-
stampeded. That was the correct response to that, Ross.
I don't especially want to do the work at the minute. I think I've got enough. So let's be popular by mending a fence.
Why not?
And break down a mech for some spare parts. So, what do I need? What do I want? Enough for that. And enough for that. So I may as well go for that. And then I will build something.
So can your faction ability, Ross, does that let you get more than the 2 combat victories stars?
Yes.
Okay.
Basically, that's what I mean. I could just rush end this game by just constantly attacking you guys. I mean, presuming I win.
Yes.
And yeah, end the game in like 3 turns, basically, or however many turns it's been. And because I mean you're starting to get there, but because no one at that point, if you rush it, no one really has the opportunity to gain any stars. Even if your popularity is awful, it
Yes.
does make a difference. Because you just
Which your popularity now would be because you scared away a few of the locals.
fired a bazooka into of course an avalanche.
Yeah. Well, I also put 2 of my locals in with 2 of my workers in my
Right,
mech
yes.
when you went in, so you forced them to go away. I gained popularity. Thanks, Dom.
So
As
did
did
I.
everyone gained popularity.
I
Yay,
built
we're
something.
popular.
I built a monument.
Very nice. I think I'm going to do the move action again. I might as well go and get myself to the factory. Make that mech go this way. Oh, this mech come down this way as well. Entering the factory. So this is what the 2 cards were that were not available.
But we didn't want.
That you chose not to, yes. So pay 2, deploy a mech and gain a power, or lose a power and gain 3 money. I think I'm going to take the deploy a mech option.
Yeah, I think that was much more powerful than I am. Well, so I thought I could use my windmill with the bonus action, but obviously couldn't. So stitch myself up.
At the cost of 2 money, by the way, that I can build a mech. Bonus mech.
Okay.
Ow. What are you doing, buddy?
Yeah, I think I'm doing this. Pay 1 to gain a combat card. Pay 2 oil to upgrade. And I think I'm gonna.
Very nice.
So let's bolster. I think that was what I was trying to do.
I very much get the sense of this game that, or the way that this game has played out thus far, is that obviously Ross, you have steamed ahead.
Yep.
But Dom is building to have a potentially really powerful, like 3 or 4 turns.
Yes.
That just sort of tick
Am I?
things off. Well, potentially.
I'm glad you believe I have a plan.
You
This
believe
is
me?
3 or 4 mechs out, isn't it? 2 of 4 buildings out.
Yeah. You've got some good potential. Okay, I think I'm going to produce. Oh, I do not have the. Oh, because I need to. Okay. In which case, I won't produce. Fine then. I apparently can't produce because I do not have enough power in order to do so.
Yes.
So, in which case, I will take the my factory action to. Township or People's Army? Let's take People's Army. Now I can place out my 3rd mech. And then I can move 1 unit up to 2 times. Confirm. So I'm going to hop over here and I'm going to have combat with Ross.
Not again. Get your workers out of here, man. Do you want to sacrifice anything for
Yeah,
it?
that's fair.
It's almost a bit of a perk that you've sent my mech back, so I can use it to move workers around. Otherwise, we'd have to move the mech back in order to do that.
That's fair.
Some kind
But it has gained me a third star,
That's just...
which has closed the gap ever so slightly.
Let's do this first.
Hmm.
Then let's do... Help an anxious farmer find a missing part for his mech, gain 2 coins and 1 popularity. Con the farmer into selling you some scrap metal under the market value, pay 2 to gain 4 metal. Or pay 3 popularity and deploy the mech. Steal the newly built mech when it's ready. I have a lot of cash, so I'm going to pay 2 to get 4 metal. That seems like... I'm still being slightly evil, but...
Not that evil.
Yeah.
So this thing, I'm looking at Dom's board, he's got a lot of his mechs out, he's got half the buildings out, he's got 7 popularity. So he's building his way up there.
You're just encouraging Ross to end the game quickly now.
Which side do I want to go? Like that getting an applause when I build something.
It does feed your ego.
Okay, has anyone else's view just gone? Oh,
It's because we've all got the bonus from Ross building.
yeah. I didn't see that last time that happened because it was me that triggered the bonus.
Yes. So you saw the cause and effect as opposed to just the effect.
Yeah.
Nice.
What was my plan? Farm? Let's try that. Let's there.
Ooh, counter time.
And let's try and win a combat here.
Ooh, okay.
Oh, that was it. The factory's not worth 3 points, it's worth 3 tiles worth of points.
Ooh, okay.
I just remembered now. I'm like, it's 3 something, but I can't remember what it is. So I probably gave that up a bit too easy.
Hey, victory for me. And I'm finding someone planting crops with a bare-filled plough, as you do.
Yep, better plough.
So, shall I spend the day planting crops to earn goodwill, gain confusion popularity? Dislodge a stubborn plough and earn a favour from the farmers. I work on any 2 resources, that's not bad.
Yeah, it's pretty good.
Or salt the earth and force the farmers to enlist.
And I like the thematic idea. I like the thematic description of dislodging a stubborn plough, earning the favour from the farmers, and then salting the earth to force them to enlist.
I mean, I can do that. I could do a nice.
I know you can.
Oh.
That's what I'm saying. If it was me or Ross, I know Ross would probably just salt the earth and force the farmers to enlist.
outrageous.
Am
No,
I
that's-
wrong?
That pay $2 for a work and 2 resources is too juicy to.
That is still pretty good, yeah.
Yeah, I'm taking that as well.
That's the thing, you can take that and then the other thing.
Right. What do
You've
I
you
want
kind of
to
got the
sit
popularity to go, I think, haven't you?
I was going to say,
Because the threshold is 0 to 6, then 7 to 12. Use 2, you need to gain 1 to get back out into that middle band.
Then, let's salt the earth and enlist a recruit.
yeah, so you're like, oh, I will help you. And then also, screw you. I want you to come. You seem like good hardy stock. You will owe me a favour one day. Just pour petrol over it and walk away. And now you have a job to do.
Oh,
I was concerned about how my computer would handle this. It seems to have actually held up pretty well as the stream has gone on. It weirdly was dropping frames when we were on just the holding screen, which confuses me. But it might be that this was just not as labour intensive now that it's going as I thought it might be.
oh, and there we go. I can regain the popularity.
Nice.
There we go. Successful turn, I think.
Very good. Right.
Yeah, pretty strong turn that.
I want to do things, but I would have to do them out of the order that I want to do them in. Which is not ideal. Okay. Two there, so I can do that. Okay, fine. I will upgrade. Yes, I will skip. Unfortunately, I have to skip the top action because I do not have sufficient power to do the bottom action. But what I will do is I'll pay. I can gain 2 money. I can move and upgrade from my bolster power and upgrade my construction action, which is nice. I could have just built another mech, I suppose. That probably would have been the smarter thing to do, but never mind. Soon I would have to worry about steel.
I'm actually going to do this. Bing.
What are you doing, Russ?
I am taking my factory action.
Yeah.
Yes. 1 unit 2 times. Then I can. Oh, I could. Yes, I think that's fine.
It's interesting. This game has been very frequently described as a Amerithrash style game.
Oh,
With good reason, but it doesn't really have the sort of the dice mechanic that goes with that.
Yeah.
Sorry, what style of game?
Amerithrash. So, it generally there's sort of like 2 camps of board game that comes in, sort of Amerithrash, or Ameritrash as it is sometimes known,
Yes.
or Eurogame.
Yes.
We tend to play a lot more Euro games.
Well, you love your worker placement. which
Yeah,
is very
well,
good.
worker placement features a lot in Euro games, but it can feature in Amerithrash games. But for the most part, yeah, worker placement is a bit separate. Sorry, just looking at Ross's card whilst he pays 4 to deploy a mech.
Yes. Sorry, yes. There was basically some people fishing.
Yeah,
Yeah.
you mech them in the face.
I met them.
Oh,
I feel like I haven't been using my manoeuvres to get myself in position for these event cards. I think I've only got one over the course of the game.
forced up. And deploy a mech.
So Dom has his 4th mech out.
Yep, all mechs deployed.
Yep, very nice.
And my mechs can now submerge. They can move to and from lakes and move from any lake to another.
Ooh.
So basically, lakes are tunnels for me.
Yeah, okay, so I'm going to use
Just call me Captain Nemo.
Yeah, alright, I'm going to use my factory action to deploy my last mech. Gives me my 4th star. And now I can move a unit up to 2 times. So I'm going to take this mech. Confirm. Take this mech with this mech with 2 workers. And we're going to bop it here. And end my move. Yes, I know I can make a move, just not with that guy. End turn. I'm doing things for the reasons I'm doing them, game. Alright, I'm done. Ross?
Oh, I think I'm just going to do a reposition turn, which is not very glamorous, but is important. Or is it more important? No, it's more important here, I think. Yep, and then yeah. You can't undo. You must be a setting you can turn on.
Must be.
Yeah.
Yeah. Not very convinced by my own turn there. But,
Yeah. So, let's do some
Mm-hmm.
I want to do stuff.
yeah, that wasn't a very good move. But that's right, it's fine.
Just hear Laura laughing at something downstairs.
Let's do some moving around and hope that's a good thing to do.
Mm-hmm.
So, what do I want to do? I need to move more than 2 things. Maybe I should. So I need oils to upgrade, and I could move more than 2 things. That's not a bad plan, actually. Reduce that. Reduce those.
Very nice.
Um, oh, do I get a coin for that? A star? Even? Yes, I do.
You do.
And list recruit.
Okay. Okay. Think. Yeah, okay. I want to produce first. So produce stuff everywhere, which is nice. And then I can upgrade. So I'll take 2 oil. And take that cost, put it down there. So now my build action only costs me 1 wood. That's the end of my turn.
You gave me a power, thank you.
I did give you a power, yes.
I'm about to give you another power. Ooh. Oh, in fact, I've got this far, and I didn't necessarily think about. Where I wanted to go after this. It's me. Just improve my bolstering and make my innocent cheaper.
Mm-hmm.
Does that change what I want to do?
So, just for the purposes of scoreboarding, Ross and I both have 4 stars. Dom has 3.
But it has much more popularity than we do.
Dom has significantly more popularity than we do, which is not good for victory points. He also does currently control the factory.
Yes.
Let's that. I think. Does it upgrading anything? Oh.
Nice. Okay, time for some movement. Confirm. So I want this guy to go here. Oh, bother.
Did you just move that by accident?
I did move it without taking the
Workers with
workers with him.
you. Right.
That is okay. I have another mech standing by that can take those workers. And that would, because might as well take it as well. And he can go over here. Not the ideal situation, but that's fine. I take the second half, which is enlist, so I can pay 2 food to enlist.
Where's your food?
Hmm?
Oh, it's there.
My food, because I've had that windmill.
Yeah, I just couldn't see the actual icons, but that's fine.
Nice. Okay, I'm done.
Cool. I would take the produce action.
Mhm.
Produce a crap ton of oil here. And then some wood here and here. And then... Yes, I might as well anyway, even though it means nothing. And then I will build another mech.
Nice.
That puts me on 5 stars.
Mm-hmm.
So, I can't think of what to do with that. So, it's there. It's there. Slightly messed up that, but no matter. It is with 3 things after all. Oh. My third one. It's always hard to decide what to do when you don't actually care, isn't it?
Yeah, because you have to take the action because that's where you are.
Yeah. Let's build him up on the area there. And I will complete my objective of Northern Advantage, controlling at least 3 tundras at the end of my turn.
Nice.
Very nice.
And I should be lost in a minute.
Okay. I had plans. This is what I was going to do. I was going to bolster power so I could get 3 power. And then I was going to build a structure. So I can take 1 wood. And I will build because I'm going to take the bolster action a fair bit. Why can't I build it? Oops. I don't understand. Why can I not build this building where I want to? Because I don't have any workers there, that's why.
Yes.
Crud.
Workers enable your mechs and your buildings, etc.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Okay, that was a mistake. Puddlino, thank you very much for coming along. We appreciate you being here. We hope to see you again. Take care of yourself. Have a good rest of your work day. Okay, well, I can't undo this now, which is unfortunate. So... I know I'm going to have to bolster again at some point anyway, so I might as well get myself the mine in the middle of the forest. So that I can get myself that extra heart. I can start building myself up some popularity.
Yeah.
I feel like you are going to probably end the game soon.
Well, the unfortunate thing is that by taking a step, I wanted to try snipe the factory.
Mm-hmm.
By taking a step forward with his mech, he's blocking me from doing that.
So you have to
I
go.
did spot that as well. I thought that was quite funny.
That first, and then I'd end the game basically by if I won that fight.
Yes.
It's a bit of a
I mean, you could still win the fight. You kind of need me to take him out from the other end.
well,
Misses.
yeah. And then you get basically at the moment, unless that mech gets moved, I don't get the factory basically.
Mm.
That's not true actually. I could tunnel behind potentially.
You could.
But I'm not too bothered by that, to be honest, at the moment.
Insight check.
The thing I am bothered about is doing something else, which was one of these things that I can do, like, this one. Sure. Nests. Cool. Into this. Into this. Cool.
All right.
Oh. Okay, because I have a plan now. I've just got distracted doing stuff. Yeah. Oh, that's the plan. Maybe I was going to do that. Yeah, okay. Sorry about this. I lost my train of thought, so I'm not entirely sure I had one after completing that objective.
That's okay. I have probably lost the game, so you know, there's that happening. No, I've had some realizations that are unfortunate in how they have worked out, but that's okay. I think there's a few things that have happened because we're playing this on a digital version of the app rather than playing physically.
Yeah,
So
because not being able to move people with the legs.
yes, exactly. You and I have both done that, and I have
Yeah.
moved into positions where it would have been more advantageous for me to wait and then sort of do things differently. So, you know, it's the nature of the thing. It happens.
Be sensible. That's the right thing to do.
Jesus Christ.
Or my production.
Yeah, just 4 barrels dropping. It was a brrrr.
Yeah, I do like these sound effects, especially when you're upgrading or something. That's such a nice powering up effect.
Counter.
Nice.
So, salvaged guns from secret underground facility gain 2 power and 1 popularity.
Nice.
Pay 2 money to get bribe the research to give you advanced weapons.
Nice.
Gain 4 power. Or spy. Pay 2 popularity to gain 1 upgrade in any 2 resources. I think I'm going to go with the popularity by pretending to befriend them. Because that lets me get my last upgrade, which gets me a star. And I can gain 2 food, which means I can take the second part of my action to enlist. And I can
Nice.
put a thing out. So, weirdly, I think the best thing for me to do is to put the enlist thing out, and I can gain 2 power as my one-time bonus. Yeah. I have plummeted in popularity, though, which is the only problem I've got now. I say the only problem. It's the big problem I have. Because I am not going to be scoring a huge amount of points in that regard.
Okay, there's some probably great combo of moving stuff around here. I just need to figure out.
For the sake of my sanity, the when someone gains their 6 stars, does that end the game immediately, or does everyone get a round?
Immediately.
Okay. Worth noting.
Very much so.
Okay, I have a 2-turn plan. And that's as far as I can get with it. Realistically.
Oh, I'm locked in on doing that now, so now I need to actually do it. That's cool. Do you want to transport anything with me? Probably not.
Hmm.
One job
Ooh, hello.
for mankind.
That has escalated things. However,
Yeah,
it does assume Ross wins the combat. If the two of you go to war.
If we do
Well, it looks like Ross is about to have an encounter.
go to war. Yes. Yeah. There's one more thing I could probably do. I think. Admire a retired soldier's prized gun. Gain 1 combat card and 1 popularity. Pay $2 to gain 2 power and 2 combat cards. Or pay 3 popularity to deploy a mech. Well, I've deployed all my mechs already, so you don't need
Yes.
to deal with the soldier's mech whilst he's napping. He is good.
I think of those 2 power, 2 combat cards is probably your best bet, because Dom has a lot of power and a lot of combat cards.
Oh,
I have no idea if Ross agreed with that sentiment or not. It looks like he didn't.
I did. Can you hear me?
Yes.
Oh, good. I did agree.
I may have just been talking over you, and because of the way that Zoom works, I just didn't hear you. You get a popularity. You get a popularity. You get a popularity.
Hmm. Which way do I want to do this? Yeah, probably that.
Luke, you know the character I was thinking about for that one?
Yes.
No, not that way.
I've actually decided to go a full 8 levels into Paladin.
Oh, okay. Interesting.
That's that way.
Because I just feel like making a bit of a mean character, which is just because it's a Watcher
Oath, yeah.
oath. Just literally going a bit mean and just literally doing everything I can, which is related or around that.
Yeah, that's fair.
So I want to grab the feat for alert.
Yeah.
So obviously, again, alert, being aware of that.
Uh-huh.
I picked the
Observant?
No, I have boosted my stats just to give myself a little bit more oomph.
Sure.
But no, what's it? Something.
What race did you go for?
Protector Asthma, obviously. Protector Watcher. Still
Sure.
trying to same vibe, etc.
Mm-hmm.
What's the ability I'm looking for right now?
Ooh, interesting.
Surprise, motherfucker!
That is interesting.
Sorry, what was that word?
My fighting style, I've picked blind fighting, so I have blind sight within 10 feet.
Nice.
So everything I'm doing is just like related to those things.
That's
Sweet.
combat cards.
Sorry? You have
Oh,
trash
right,
combat cards.
You drag the bar.
No, how do I add cards?
Oh, you click the cards on the left-hand side.
Oh, yes.
You could potentially have up to 12. so quickly attacking right now because it didn't actually properly show. Okay. If I end the game now, do I think I win?
No.
I think so.
Mind you, I don't remember all the point scoring that comes out to this game.
It basically comes down to stars, territory, and resources. He's got a lot of resources. I have some resources. He has a lot of land. I have roughly keeping up. I have 2 more stars.
That's the thing.
I think it would be quite close. I think you would win. I'm just going to do it anyway. Why not?
All that's certain here, viewers, is I've lost this.
Oh, it's a tie.
And I win. Haha!
Okay.
So I gain another star from that.
That's what I was worried about. I needed to have sniped that.
And I can now build my last building.
Which means you trigger the end game.
Yeah.
Nice.
Nice. Well, I had a 2-turn plan, and I don't have 2 turns. I have no turns.
Doesn't even matter. Well, let's put it there. Just shoot it.
Oh, it doesn't even matter where he puts it. Ah. What a hardship. Well, there we go. He's going to start doing the scoring for us. Yep.
Oh, things are looking good for me.
Jeez.
Yeah. And the resources.
Oh! Fireworks! Hey!
I didn't get any fireworks.
Oh,
no, no.
The
Nice.
fireworks are pretty. That's pretty. Woof.
Okay.
79 plays 41 and 56. I did not come as far behind as I thought I might have done. I still did not do well.
I started badly, but then it started coming together once I figured out what I was doing. And remembered how to play the game.
Yeah. Well done, Dom. Congratulations.
Oh, thank you.
Structure bonus thing. Okay.
Yeah, I suddenly realised that, and as I was trying to build out one of my structures, I went, oh, great, I can put this over here. Oh, I can't put it over the mine. Damn.
I completely forgot about that.
Well, that was Scythe, everybody. Thank you very much for joining us as we played this. Ross and Dom, thank you both for coming along and playing. I've just been immediately invited to play someone else's game, which is funny. Yeah, we are going to disappear off. We're going to go and raid into the TLN stream, which is currently with Benita K. So we're going to go raid off there. They are playing Dice Manor. So yeah, we'll go see what that is about. But thank you very much, everyone, for joining us. We will be back again on Wednesday. We will be playing something. We are yet to decide what. We will usually decide probably on the day, because that's how we do things. But yeah, so come and see us then. I am off for a weekend of many games, I'm hoping. I'm hoping that my Saturday and my Monday will give me plenty of different games to play. Yeah, so we're going to toggle off. Thank you very much, everyone, for joining us, gentlemen. And yeah, we'll see you again. Thanks, everybody. Let's see if I can raid into Benita. Yes, I can. Excellent. All right, thanks, everybody. Goodbye.
Hey.